Hi chat, today's stream is sponsored by Activision. Shout out to them, man. Right now we're about to do an interview with Ted and Josh. They work at Raven Software, they're devs, right? We have about what, 30 minutes to ask any questions and stuff like that. So make sure you have some good ones in the chat. While I'm talking to them, I'll probably look over to the chat to see if there's any questions that you guys have. Josh, Ted, fellas, how you guys doing?
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, Ted.
Hey, how's it going?
Not much chilling. Is Josh also joining us as well?
Yeah, he's in the house. He's
Okay.
it looks like he's muted, but I was watching your stream up until about 30 minutes ago. I didn't want to cause an echo or risk anything.
No, you're good. You're good. We were having some tough goes, but it's all good. Ted, if you could, like, tell them what you do with Warzone, how you're involved, and kind of just like your kind of role in the whole thing.
Yeah, great. So, hey everyone, really nice to be here. My name's Ted, Senior Creative Director at Raven. I actually only started at Raven in July last year.
Okay.
Before that, I was a Warzone fan and Warzone player since day one. Before that, Blackout as well. And yeah, I guess just going through some life changes last year, I was like, man, like I've been in video games for 20 years. Like I'd love to work on my favorite game, which was Warzone.
Yep.
Wrote a covering letter as like a fake intel note, sent it to to Raven. They're like, yeah, we'd love to have you on board. So yeah, been here almost a year now, and yeah, my goal and my focus is year 3 of Warzone. So I hope you guys are enjoying it so far, and working very closely with Josh, who's overseeing Warzone and Vanguard, both games at the same time.
Cool,
Are you with us, Josh? By the way.
Yeah, howdy.
Yeah, sweet.
What's going on, Josh? How you doing, man? If you could tell, I was just kind of doing some introductions here. Ted kind of just gave his little intro. If you could, Josh, I'm sure the chat would want to know, who you are and kind of what your role is.
Yeah, sure, cool, man. Good to meet you. Appreciate
Nice to meet
you
you.
having us here and chatting. I think we can tell Ted has a bit of an island accent. I apologize if my Canadian accent comes through. So that's what it's all about. I'm the creative lead of what we call Chapter 3, which is just everything live operations across Vanguard and Warzone, and just trying to help coordinate and figure out how we can just deliver on everything that we all want to do and all the players want to do, and working across all the studios.
That's awesome. All right, thank you guys for being on here, man. I'm sure I'm kind of letting the chat have a lot of questions. So one thing I want to ask is, I don't know how much you guys can talk about Warzone 2. Is that kind of that whole subject kind of off topic? I'm just curious.
I'd say yeah at this point, other than I think we mentioned there's something new coming, but yeah, I think right now we're not going to be going deep on that.
All good. Yeah, chats. This is, I've heard you guys answer this on a couple other streams, but if one of you guys can just kind of, the stream always wants to ask, bring Verdansk back. If you guys could quickly just kind of tell them.
When we built Verdansk, we didn't build it necessarily for like a multi-year experience. So, it's relatively heavy and pretty intense. And it's been a big technical challenge for us as we've been kind of running the game now, and we were caught off guard by like, holy shit, this is people are liking this. What do we do now? So
okay.
Kind of victim of our own success sort of thing. Not gloating, it's just more like, oh shit, what do we do? So we looked at the map. We really love Verdansk, but we were seeing we were seeing and hearing from players that we wanted something new and different. Because it was just going so long.
Yeah.
The challenge that we have, though, is we would love to be in a position to be able to rotate maps, right? Like rotate Verdansk in and out. Let's say Caldera and other things. Caldera and other things. But it's it's a technical lift. One part is the amount of content that we have in the game now, right? With all the operators and blueprints and all that sort of gear side of things is really filling up hard drives.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is the map, right? And so when Ted and the team at Raven, we are like, let's go after a new map. We deliberately built it with more, we call it memory ceiling, so that we could fit stuff in. So the challenge of, let's say, hey, let's rotate Verdansk back in. Well, it will bust hard drives.
Yeah.
It's because it's just the bucket's overfilled, so to speak. And so that for us, and looking to the future where we're going, we're really putting a lot more effort into how do we build towards map rotations in a way that handles that headroom that we need for all the content that gets scaled in. So that's kind of the sum of it. I don't know if Ted has anything on your end, but
Yeah, it's a great question, and one we've asked ourselves. It's as we look through seasons 3, 4, 5. Obviously, we're not going to talk too much about those today, but just there's a lot of player feedback and a lot of player sentiment, and hopefully you guys have all seen the improvements we're making just in terms of quality of life improving traversal, improving mantling, the addition of the redeployment balloons. And really, like Caldera represents this great opportunity where we can just continue to improve it, continue to make it better. Season 3's got some fantastic POI updates, I can say that much. And then, looking ahead, working very closely with our map and our world team, just about how can we take this player feedback for Caldera and then use that feedback to really improve the map. And because, Verdansk wasn't perfect either, right?
Yeah.
And there was a lot of learnings that the team took from Verdansk in how we built Caldera. And we're just going to keep leveraging that kind of feedback and keep improving as we look ahead.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask. Is, I mean, with Caldera, obviously, with how long we have it for, like, we still have it for a couple more months. I was going to ask you guys, is there any more like map changes and updates? Because for me, in my opinion, I always thought Caldera would be great if, all the POIs, they're all so nice, but they're all on the outskirts, right? Like I would love to have those sort of fights, because a lot of the fights inside the middle of the map are kind of all verticality, like we're either fighting uphill or fighting downhill. But a lot of the outside of the maps, like the POIs, they're all levels, so you're kind of having these like different fights in these buildings and stuff like that. So I don't know if you guys have ever thought about now, like like you said, you have POI updates, but more so just bringing everything kind of like moving different POIs.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to, and we've been talking about this and looking at this as well. I mean, a lot of it has to do, there's one part, there's the geometry of the map.
Yeah.
That's a huge lift to do like a big remix, let's say. But the thing that we've been talking about is just like favoring where the circle closes, because like,
yes.
Like leaning into areas that are higher density, get some verticality in a good way, right? Potentially, so you're not just doing head glitch stuff and bush hides type thing. So it's definitely something we've been chatting about.
And the bush hides is a really interesting point as well, because when we talk about the map, or when we hear about the map, the feedback, we want to make sure that on the development side, we also take into account the gameplay. Is the gameplay getting the best from the map? That's really why we made this change to Ghost, right? Where Ghost now requires movement.
It's great.
Because when you think of something like Verdansk, it has a very different heartbeat, a very different play style. And when we shifted to Caldera, we didn't change up the gameplay enough to fit the map. So something like Ghost in Verdansk doesn't fit Ghost in Caldera, because there are these small bushes that someone could just hide in. So we're also making sure that as we look to the seasons ahead, we're leveraging everything we can on the gameplay side, just to make sure that this new heartbeat that Caldera has, and like the whole game is built around this map. So you're going to see a lot more, as we head into season 3. I think we've got some of the best quality of life improvements we've had to date in season 3. And certainly, leveraging the perks, leveraging all of our systems to make sure that it sets up Caldera really nicely.
Awesome, cool. I have two more things. I think Booyah might have a question. So it's more so like the topics of ranked and FOV. I mean, obviously, I know now it's really hard, but is that something? Are those two things that's something that are on you guys' radar? I'm sure a lot of people would just want to know if that's something you guys are definitely thinking about as far as the future. Just like you guys know, like it's a wanted thing. Both of those things.
Oh, we know. We know. We're hyper aware. I think on ranked, we have teams looking ahead on that. And I think key for us is we want to make sure we do it right.
Yeah.
That takes time. No promises on the timing of it, but we are aiming at ranked, and it's going to be a critical part. It's absolutely critical for the Elder game, right? For actually having that opportunity to really flex. So yes, that's on radar and heavily discussed. Timing, can't promise when, but it is something we're going to go after. On the FOV side of things, that one's more challenging. I know that we have that option and ability to kind of, obviously for PC, you can do it, but the challenge that we've had is that, okay, so when we look at just like there's the sheer performance of Warzone, we still have a very large portion of our players that are coming in on previous gen consoles.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, so we start doing some testing. If we allow it, then it's like a slider to lower your frame rate and actually introduce potential bugs and crashes, right? Because when the frame, it's not just we care so much about frame rate, like 60 FPS for us, bare minimum, right? Is so critical. And so I'm not personally not a fan of, you know, even with a big disclaimer of like players saying, you know, hey, use at your own risk, and then have, you know, deteriorate performance. But it also introduces synchronization problems, and it could lead to introducing bugs and crashes for yourself. So when we looked at that, we're like, oh, well, if you just allow it on next gen consoles, the concern we have is it just keeps further widening the skill gap. It is just, it's hard to dispute, for us at least, it's hard to dispute that a wider FOV allows for, you know, seeing more. And if our larger proportion of our audience is on last gen, and they're at a detriment now, and then everyone else is like cranked, I'm just worried that we're just gonna, you know, even like make it even more toxic of an experience.
Yeah. So when you think about where we are now, you know, there's these really big things, right? So you just basically picked all the three big ones, right? It's ranked, it's FOV, and it's map rotation. So we think, right now, we're not in a position where we can deliver on all of those. So what are the things we can deliver on? And how can we maximize all of the little things that really add up? So I saw in the chat, someone just put like, what about the gas mask? And maybe like the gas mask animation, right? And maybe a fun story. Literally my first day in the office at Raven last year, or virtually anyway, was, you know, had the team meeting, welcome Ted to the company, like, do you have anything to say? And I was basically like, you know, who do I talk to about the gas mask animation? You know, like day one. And I think those kind of areas show that as Warzone has grown over, you know, we're entering year 3, right? It's a major milestone for us. And these things that, you know, 2 years ago, you would forgive a bit more because the game is like brand new and like you're learning it. And now, as we're in year 3, players have min-maxed it. They understand exactly, you know, get your loadie, get a UAV, get a self, get a guess, and then now, like, you go. And how can we make sure that across the board, everything in Warzone is just tightened up, you know? And I hope you've enjoyed some of the quality of life changes you made, Chris. But we're really making sure that as we talk about the big things, you know, further down the roadmap, what can we do today and tomorrow, especially as we look at, you know, the upcoming season 3, that someone who's been playing the game for a while, maybe there's these things that have just kind of been eating away at them a little bit and be like, oh man, I wish they would just tighten that up and give it that little bit of polish. And then we release the patch notes, and I know I speak on behalf of the whole team. We got an amazing quality of life team. We got a great player advocates group. If we haven't spoken about them publicly, it's basically a bunch of cross studio team, really. So you've got people from Beanox, High Moon, Raven, Toys for Bob, some of our most experienced players, and honestly, like, they will give anyone a run for their money in Warzone. Maybe we should have a tournament someday between like devs versus streamers. That'll be fun.
That'd be actually awesome.
That would actually be awesome. But you know, that group, they're so ingrained in like the community and like the culture of Warzone. And you know, we read the Reddits, we read the Twitters, we watch the YouTubes and the Twitch channels, and we want to make sure that when we look at the roadmap, there's just a awesome like tick list of all the things that you're like, oh man, yeah, that, you know what, that didn't even frustrate me, and now that I read it, I'm frustrated. You know, you think back. So I really hope that when we release, you know, the season 3 patch notes, once again, you guys see that, you know, we're really delivering to the best we can on those kind of smaller details that really add up.
I feel it. I also have a couple other things in my head that I wanted to ask. So one thing I wanted to say was, I don't know if you guys have thought about it, but as far as customs, like being able to customize the game, like banning, you know, choosing, like just having different customizations in the custom matches to make it more of like community based, also to do different bunch of things with your community and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys have thought about that, but that's something that we've wanted since I think customs came out, just the ability to customize it, really.
Yeah, I think we like that a lot, for sure. I mean the shift, and you know, I've been saying this like for some time now, as we've been shifting from, you know, create a game and send it out, we are absolutely curating for you and everyone, right? So it's critical that in that shift, we definitely, coming out of the holidays, the shift is like, you know, big splash of cold water to the face, like, oh man, we got to pull our crap together here. You know, we got to double down, listen to players, really focus on the community asks and from folks from you, like you as well. So when it comes to feature sets like that, we'd absolutely love and want to, go after how you can create your own twists and custom matches. I think for us right now, we are still doubling down on quality of life.
Yeah, no,
that's like our
our
number one priority. Like, I think for us, we were more hesitant to say, oh, let's just go after new features, and unless we got our house in order, so to speak.
Yeah, like the foundation, kind of the foundation. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, the foundation has to sing,
definitely.
right? And that's where you're seeing, like, we collapse the BRs together, right? So there's no, folded Vanguard and core BR together. We're just trying to get focused and make sure we just deliver on the best experience we can for what we feel Warzone's great at. So.
Do you have a question? I wanted to just see if you wanted to get one in.
No, I was just listening.
Okay, for sure. Also, one thing that I really want that I hope you guys, once you guys have all the foundation stuff, is universal camos. I think that being able to, I think a great thing that community would love is, whether how it's integrated or not in the future, with CODs. I think that being able to unlock, you grind. Think about it. You grind so hard to unlock an ultimate camo in a Call of Duty, right? And in Warzone, you guys have the ability to, I don't know how hard it is, but to be able to use it on every gun. You worked really hard on it. I think that it's a great kind of like,
it's a peacocking, right? As opposed to having to sweat it out again and again on you.
Exactly. And it's kind of a brag, like, oh wait, he has that camo. He went back to that went to that Call of Duty and grinded it on multiplayer. It's like a complete reward for grinding in both in the multiplayer, and then people being able to kind of brag about it in Warzone.
Yeah, we've been talking. I mean, there's a shift happening, and Warzone's been the catalyst for all of us and all the studios that it's actually, historically, I would say all the studios would kind of be like delivering on their Call of Duty, right? Which has been great for, hey, each team's kind of delivering on, innovation and whatnot. And that was maybe awesome in a past world where it was a, bricks and mortar, here's the new Call of Duty, I'm going to go and buy it. We're a living game now. And so that's actually shifted all of our technology as well, right? We've invested in a core shared technology, all the studios are pulling from. But then also related to that is because we have Warzone going, as this idea that our games are interconnected as this sort of meta progression together, is that now through this more shared technology and the teams more collaborating at core system levels on designs, is now we can unlock things like this.
That's cool.
To make sure that sweat equity has forward, value. You can, always carry that peacocking with you. So that's something into the future that you're going to see a much bigger shift to, which we're super excited about. I think for all of us, we love Call of Duty. Yeah. Want to just keep playing it. I love new things to go after, but I also want to be, be able to carry this. I want to be able to show off what I did too. So.
Of course. Yeah. And also, I'm gonna just say the two things that I want to know is also, I think in the future or even in the next couple of seasons, that I think the best way to really reward the grind is also like the prestige system. So our levels, when we go to level 1000, it's almost like pointless to like even really care about that. But if we were to somehow, like, you have a prestige system, right, when you go from a certain level to a certain level, and also having rewards, kind of like like an example is in Infinite Warfare, every time you prestige, like every 10 prestiges or every 5, you were able to get, a certain variant of a gun that you can only get if you grind it all the way up until that to that point. So I think in the future, that's one thing that I think is really missed is the way, like, just wanting to level up. Like, there's no reason to want to level up. You know what I mean?
That's totally fair feedback, man. Like, and I think that's been us learning. As we kind of went to this, live model with Warzone, we're like, okay, how do we handle leveling? And we went for this notion of seasonal leveling. And I think now looking at it, it's the plus that has helped is like, hey, it doesn't feel as potentially as intimidating for, someone who's disengaged for a while to hop in at the head of the season, because we're all at the same starting point. Off we go. Yeah. But the downside is definitely I can see that, the value of leveling beyond that, it kind of loses meaning because it's only just kind of like you're focused on the season. So that's something that you're going to see in the future, a revision. I think the best way to describe it is that we absolutely want to deliver on the value and the meaning of what prestige means and the rewards that you get with it, so that it isn't just purely like I'm just watching numbers tick purely, I don't think it's as bad as that, but it kind of feels like that sometimes, right? And so yeah, I would say, that whole progression and metagame systems and all that is absolutely something we're going after in a revised way. And I think you kind of what you're mentioning, I think you'll like it.
Cool, for sure. And also, I think it'd be cool. You guys had it in one of the CODs had it. I think it was a couple of them, but a fire range for Warzone would be so dope. I think that just being able to go in there.
Oh yeah,
attachments
we want
and-
that too.
Yeah, tell me
Yes.
about it.
Yes, absolutely.
If Gas
Yeah.
asked me my first question, my second one was where's the shooting range?
Yeah, especially when you're trying to, figure out, attachment matrices and try to get a feel for a vibe of a weapon. Absolutely. It's something that's, it's something it's not easy to pull off because, the reality is to pull off firing range, we have to kind of build the game with that firing range in the menu memory, so to speak, right? So you can instantly, from create a class, pick a weapon, press a button, instantly firing range. We had that in, I recall last time I played, it was in Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, that had a great one too. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's cool. It's slightly mini-game-ish, cool, kind of get a vibe for it. But that team at that point, Sledgehammer, they built a lobby with that in memory, so to speak. We haven't, right? And no excuses. I'm just trying to. It's a technical reality, but this is the thing. I would say all these Call of Duties over the years have always delivered on. There's always these cool things that each one of them do. Then you always have this feeling of well, man, I've lost the thing that I liked, right? So when we start looking at the future, having the teams coordinate, working on shared core technology and features, this is what we're excited about. Looking to the future, we're going to be able to deliver on these features that are just we're calling them internally, we call them franchise features. Why would we reinvent the wheels here? These things do great. Let's just build it in so that it's carried forward. And it's a delicate balance, right? Because we don't want that to be a dirty word too, where it homogenizes each of the the experiences. You want the feel. Black Ops has to have a feel. Modern has a feel. So we want to make sure we protect that. But some of these things I think are just quality of life is the way we look at it.
Yeah, and I keep seeing a question in the chat about how do we prioritize features, right? And that it really is the golden question. It's not easy whenever we sit down, whether I'm talking with Josh or with Eric at a super high level as to what we want to do next for Warzone, or whether it's talking with the team, whether that's quality of life or the map designers or the game designers or really anyone on the team at all. And we're just going through things and saying what's the next priority? And then of course you've got that scale, right? So you've got something that might be a day or two of work. And then there's other things that might be a month or two of work. And then there's other things that could quite literally be a year of work. And how do we set ourselves up so that there's always almost an invisible conveyor belt, right? Because those 1 week tasks, they're the things that we want to keep getting out there. And I saw someone say, what is an upcoming quality of life? Maybe one just that I can talk about because I'm really excited about it is to be able to use double XP tokens in the game. At the moment you can only use them on the front end.
In the menu, right? And then
and then you forget. You literally, I was playing a game with my friends a few weeks back, and 3 of them used their double XP token. I forgot to use mine, and I'm like, guys, sorry, I'm gonna pull us out. I pull us out, and then they've lost 5 minutes of their double XP token, right? And then coming to work the next day, I messaged the UI team, how many days work do you think this will be? And Josh, Josh knows this so well that UI is one of our most expensive and resource intensive departments. So
you'd be surprised, man. It's you look at something and you're like, how come you can't do this? And even for us, we're like, wow, it's going to take that long.
Right. So when we have these kind of discussions, right? Yeah, it's really challenging because you go, right, okay, that might be 2 or 3 days of UI work, but then what are we losing? What's the cost, the sunk cost that we're not getting somewhere else, especially when we look at the seasons ahead where we're doing some really cool stuff. So yeah, I'm really happy to say, that kind of quality of life change is in production. It will come through in a future season, but it's those kind of things where we're just weighing up, how important is that double XP token, improved access versus, potentially a really big feature or a really big content update. And then, it's not, there's often not a right or wrong answer either, right? It's just, you make the best decision you can in the moment, and you hope that when it comes through to players and they read the patch notes, they're just like, oh man, yeah, I'm so glad they did that.
We absolutely, like, we meet daily with our cross-functional teams. They're pulling in from all channels and just word clouding and ranking everything that's either hated the most or wanted the most.
Yep.
Right. And we use that as a divining rod as we start trying to figure out what we can go after in time.
Awesome, awesome. And also, I want to ask, as far as like in the future, in the next couple of seasons, are we gonna be seeing any in-game events? I think that's something that, I mean, obviously a lot of the gaming community loves, and you know, to have that kind of immersed experience with the whole community would just be dope. So I don't know if you guys have any plan as far as for the next couple of seasons, or even if you guys can say, or if it's just on your guys' like your radar.
You want to take that, Ted?
I was waiting for you. Who's going to put their foot in it? Look, I'd say, you know, when we think about each season, and you've seen this right with Rebirth Reinforced, there's an event that's live now.
Yep.
I've been working with our partners at Beanox. They've absolutely smashed it. It's an awesome update. I've been enjoying it a lot with my friends as well. But it's that kind of thing where we want to make sure that each season has something where, and going back to your point earlier about progression, right? You want those little things that you can do. I think the team at Beanox has done a really nice job this time around with like the community challenges and really trying to take what was previously like more personal, more micro, and then make it really macro and get everyone involved. And I love the way that they've built it into the unlockables in game. So, you know, we've now unlocked the radar towers. We've unlocked the weapon trade stations. I hope you guys are enjoying those. And the one I'm really excited for is to unlock the armored truck deployment, because of course I've played that internally in our internal play tests, and it's awesome. It's like it's a great game changer when it happens. Now, imagine.
But I would say, sorry, I would say that.
Oh, you go.
Yeah, one of the things is, you know, as we're trying to really focus on not having a crap ton of modes. So you don't know what to focus on.
I agree, yeah.
To free up our focus to just make sure that we go after things like this, in-game events for our core foundational modes, just to make sure there's variance. We don't want it to be stale or stagnant type thing. But I think we've historically kind of gone for, let's try new modes constantly, but actually I think that's worked against us. Just fractures the audience, don't know what to go after, and where to go play. So I'd say, you know, in-game events, making sure the core of whether it's Resurgence or Battle Royale has variance each season, for sure.
So, also one thing that I see a couple of people asking in the chat about is, so I mean, if you think about it, you guys introduced the regiment feature, and I think that, you know, besides in future ranked, maybe in the future, something we as involved in it as far as like clan matches. So this was I remember back in the day, back in, I don't even know when, like Modern Warfare 3 or something like that, there'd be like clan wars on weekends, right? Like imagine if like regiments could all get involved, party up, their clan tag, queue in, do whatever they got to do to earn XP, and then, you know what I mean? Just like
yeah, for sure. Like that for us, like so much of what you mentioned before, we want that. We are looking at that, and again, that kind of goes to that layer of franchise features. How do we just make sure that that is just part of our game, our games, you know, that it doesn't reset constantly, so that we can keep building on that, for sure.
Sure. But yeah, do you have anything in your head you want to ask, or you still chilling?
I don't know if, like, we've been asking you guys questions about like what like stuff to bring to the table, but are we allowed to ask like what you guys have planned right now, like some of the upcoming features you guys are adding to the game or working on?
Yeah, I think we can't really speak to future stuff at this point. You know, I think specific. I mean, it's tough for us, right? Because we have a whole bunch of cool stuff coming for this chapter for sure. We're super excited about what we got cooking, and we're hoping everyone else likes it. But you know, again, for us, it doesn't sound like sexy, juicy, but just getting our house in order, listening to the community, doubling down on all the rough edges, and trying to make a core game that just sings, so we can not get us all feeling frustrated where we kind of add stuff to the game, but it's broke. And we're like, damn it, let's fix our game. So that's been our focus ever since we came back from the holidays at the head of the year.
What do you guys think of the 50 extra health for core battle royale?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I think it's definitely great for Caldera. I mean, obviously Rebirth's a whole different story, but so far I like it. Combining the modes. I always thought like Vanguard and BR being separate was always bad. So with that, have you guys? I don't know if there's any plans for this, but I have one more question after that too. But I know you guys have to probably go soon. Is to adding, up in the player count on Caldera. Have you guys tested it, or have you guys thought about it? Is there any plans for an LTM, like taking it from 150 to like 200?
Wow. Question, Ted.
Oh
what do you think?
man, I would love to answer this, and at the back of my mind, I don't want to go into PR jail. So all I'll
Yeah,
say, and I will be coy, is I speak as a player now. I would love that too. There are technical challenges, as with anything. You can imagine 150 people is already, and the size of the map. Like if you think back 10 years to having like the scale of the game that we have now, it's just unbelievable. So I would just say, we want a lot of this stuff that you're talking about. And when we look at the whole chapter ahead, we are definitely having these kind of conversations about what we can do. But yeah, like obviously we can't announce anything. We want to make sure that everything we announce to your community, to the wider Warzone community, it will happen. That's what we want whenever we announce something. So yeah, just for now, hold this space. We hear your feedback, and again, like
We're
I think,
well aware. I mean, I can say that we internally test things all over the place just to kind of go after and test and see if we can make this work. Again, upping player counts and kind of relates to install size, but also from like a performance point of view. Just like the fidelity that we keep driving in Call of Duty in these large maps, and it's just like, oh my gosh, you start increasing, player counts beyond what, like, let's say what we've seen right now, and we start getting tackled on last gen again. Like, how do we get this performant on last gen, and we don't want to do audience splits with a next gen / PC playlist type thing. So that takes more tech investment planning to figure out how can we do that smartly across any generation, and it is something that we are always looking at for sure, because we love the idea, right? Like just fucking go crazy. Just like how many people can we get in here? That'd be so dope. So yeah, we hear you for sure.
and it's not just to add to that. It's not always about the number of people either. It's what's happening in the map or maps, with Rebirth. And when we look at the content roadmap ahead of us, we want to keep adding more gameplay toys. More things like the nebula bombs or the armored trucks, the redeploy balloons. When we see, the success of season 2 has really been about a lot of the toys that we put in, the portable decontamination station, like the kind of stories we're seeing, what players are doing with those kind of things. So we're really moving away from like tons of new LTMs, as Josh mentioned, and game modes, and really focusing on what kind of cool new stuff can we put into the game that players then create really interesting, like if feature A meets feature B, then you get this amazing clip that now, goes all across Twitter, Reddit. So that's where we're really putting our energy and our focus at the moment.
For sure. Cool. Okay, I don't know how much time we have with you guys.
Oh, I've got all night. I'm playing Warzone after this. So.
But
I have a bit more time on my end.
But it's two things. Is first of all, a lot of people are asking about the audio, and then second of all is more so my question is about the anti-cheat. So like I've seen so many different ways and how it works. You guys do different things where like you're hiding players and then the hackers can't now do any damage. So it's more so just is those two things. I'm sure the anti-cheat is a long definite answer, but I'm sure the audio one is something that you guys can answer pretty.
Yeah, on Ricochet and the anti-cheat. I mean, this is the first time we're actually taking it serious for reals. Like this started last year. We're like, holy smokes, this cheating is rampant. And historically, we've always like, kind of like each of the studio teams running their game like would just be running around trying to plug holes while also doing their day job of other things. So we made this shift. We have a dedicated team, build custom technology, and we have this group actively monitoring and making sure that we try to get ahead all the time. And I hope that playing the game today, let's say versus a year ago, that there's a noticeable difference, in how common cheating is occurring. As soon as something happens, there's a new workaround, there's a new way to sort of like grief the game. Not only do we, potentially hear from from players, but we also have a team actively monitoring matches, what's happening, all the analytics, and we can kind of track this stuff now more proactively. And we can't explain how it works. Like even some of us don't fully know because it's well kept, protected circle to make sure that there's this clear, tight group that's really focused on just fair play for our players. It's critical for us. It rots a game out when you have so much cheating.
Yeah, I agree. And then also, I know maybe another quality of life update is the audio. I'm sure you guys will continue to kind of work on that throughout the game.
We've been having some conversations. I think at the beginning of season 2, I think Josh, you had we all had a call with a number of content creators, and we said we're investigating. That investigation is still ongoing. I was speaking to some of our audio team about it yesterday. It's still something we want to deliver. We made a commitment that we wanted to deliver something during season 3. That's something we're still working towards. I think we'll have an update as we get closer, to season 3's launch. But all of these things are really important to us as well.
Be clear on the audio, side of things. That isn't like a design preference or some tuning that someone has to go turn a knob. It's a technical thing as well.
Yeah.
It's just the amount of entities, the amount of things that are active for each player at any one time, and trying to make sure that we have enough, voice channels prioritized in the right way, systemically, right? That's the work that the team's been going after.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, and also one thing I want to say is I love. I don't know if you guys are going to continue, but so with the new 150 health, what I'm running into is more so the time to kill as far as a lot of the old Cold War and Modern Warfare guns just feel like they kill a little bit faster. A lot of the Vanguard guns just don't. I don't feel like they're updated to the point where 100. I feel like I'm getting a ton of hit markers with the Vanguard guns. So I don't know as far as like any future weapon balancing and different things like that to adjust to that 150.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I think the problem that we found ourselves in is too many weapons. It's like holy smokes, man! Like with over 100, I don't know, we're going to land, I think, around 180 potentially by the end of the year. That's like, it's like almost a fool's errand trying to figure out how to truly balance it, and balance doesn't really make sense in that case. You're just going to end up with replicated profiles and whatnot. So that is kind of the, there's a team dedicated to that, sweeping, weapon tuning and weapon meta. And it unfortunately, I wish we could turn around faster, and we are on it. But it takes time. It takes debug time. You think about all the attachment matrix, right?
Yeah, like there's so much.
Dude, man, like holy geez, like 10 simul on the Vanguard for attachments. Now we got to figure out, like, we have a spreadsheets and we try to maths it out, and then we actually have to put it in game, and then we actually check the analytics that are coming out to figure out, did we bork something? It just takes time. We'll get there. We're not happy with where they're at, and you're going to definitely see more meta shifts for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, and that team, to Josh's point, they're probably watching the stream. So hello to the weapons team. They're very tuned in with the community. Can you imagine balancing 180 guns over 3 years, right? Like that's a massive amount of work. And I will say, first of all, shout out to all of our content creators like yourself and many others who really delve deep into the data and really look at, what is the current weapon meta and help our players, bring them on that journey. But at the same time, we have all of our internal data, right? So we get to see, what is currently meta, what are players using, and our Vanguard weapons are really powerful. That was one of the reasons why we felt the need to lift the core health from 100 to 150 was because what we've seen, with going from Modern Warfare weapons through to Black Ops weapons and now through to Vanguard weapons, there's just been a general acceleration in the TTK. And, I can't go to that team and say, hey guys, you need to spend 4 months rebalancing 180 weapons. How can we get back to that, where the TTK was, a year ago or so, where it felt like the game was in a real sweet spot. We know a lot of our players really enjoyed like the Growl, Farah, all kind of meta that was going on. It's like, how do we get back there? And they put together like some amazing presentations just showing the breakdown of all the data, the TTKs across all of the Call of Duty games. It was like, right, a quick way to get there is a 50 health, but we want to make sure that our community is cool with this change. And that was something that Josh and I spoke about with Eric, our other creative director on Warzone, which is, we should ask the community about this. We don't want to just flick a switch. First of all, we're going to try it out in Vanguard, let players have a go with it, see how they feel, and then we're going to let our players make the ultimate decision. I promise you, like if that came back, if that poll was different, we wouldn't have made the change. Like, we really want to make sure that everything we do going forward is like community approved, you know, where necessary.
I feel you. I feel you. Also, one thing that I did see someone in the chat type that I agree with is that, you know, stuff in the store, right? You see a crazy blueprint, you go, I'm really excited, and you change the attachments to make it actually, you know, pretty good, and then it kind of takes away from the whole blueprint. So I don't know, as far as, do you guys have any fixes to that, where you know, you pay for something, it's beautiful, but it's excuse my like ass, you know what I mean, the attachments on it, so you want to make it good, you change the attachments.
You don't like the Katamari look?
Yeah, no. And then it's just, you know what I mean. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or fixing that, or
that's a tough one. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You buy a blueprint, you're buying a set, you got a look and a style, you want that to apply to everything or anything you know, tag it to.
Yeah.
That is a tech problem. It's actually how the content's authored. Like, that would have to assume that every attachment can inherit any blueprint look forever.
Yeah, trust me, it definitely sounds complicated, but it was just something that I agree that definitely.
I totally get it. I know it's, and we would love to go after it. It's just that one's a real hard. That one's like, we'd have to actually think about how we'd author the content differently to allow it. You know, it's almost like we were mentioning with camos, right? You know, you want the camos to apply to any weapon.
Yeah.
You know, this is blueprint, and depends on the level of uniqueness. Some of that blueprint authoring is just completely unique geometry, and so then it doesn't necessarily just copy paste across other things. So we would have to create an alternate skin that kind of looks like dragon scales, let's say, on a stock ACOG.
Yeah, yeah.
So I tell you hear you on that. It doesn't look always the super cool when you put on, you know, the right mix of what you want, for sure. I hear you.
Yeah, it's funny because the weapons team are messaging me on the side saying there's some really good stuff coming for season 3. So, you know, you heard it here first, right?
Cool. I mean, yeah, definitely, for sure. Oh, yeah. Also, as far as I'm sure that, I don't know if they are watching, the one thing that I think Warzone needs right now, especially on Caldera, is really good. I don't know. I feel like the long range game is like all the close range weapons are so good. That's why Rebirth is kind of fun, because you have so many good Vanguard, but when you go to Caldera, I feel like the ARs kind of lack, and kind of not even more like as far as TTK, but just kind of the excitement, and just I don't know, like it's just,
it hasn't changed, right? It's been CARD, COM 98, and Swiss for a year now.
Yeah.
It needs to be fresher.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. You know, before then, I mean, we were all excited to use back on Verdansk the Kilo Grau. You had so many different long range guns that you were so excited to use, and kind of had different mini playstyles. But on Vanguard, I mean, you don't see anyone really rocking any LMGs. You know what I mean? But on Verdansk back in the day, people rocked the Bruin, and then there's so many different, you know, MG82. There was a lot of just kind of variety in a sense like that. So I think that's a huge
season 3. That's all I'll say on that one.
Okay.
Hold us to it. Let's schedule a catch up right after season 3. And
it might not be launch. Yeah, it might not be launch for season 3, just to temper expectations. But I will say, like, and I can say this with confidence, that the sniper gameplay and just that range gameplay is a core focus for the weapons team right now. And we'll definitely have some exciting updates for that as we get closer to the season 3 patch notes.
Awesome, cool. I mean, and also one thing that I think would be great right now, I'm playing Rebirth a lot. I'm really addicted because of specialists. I don't know how, you know. I think one of the most fun times I've ever had in Warzone was when the Nakatomi Tower was there, and you know, you could go get the 100K in specialists. You know, I don't know how you guys would be able to incorporate it. I'm not saying you have to have a specific spot where everyone has to go to get it, but just in a way to be able to access it, and just, you know, it kind of gave you that excitement. Like that's why I'm on Rebirth right now. Like I get excited because I can do an Easter egg to go get it, and then now that was just something that I wanted to ask.
It's great to watch as well, right? It's great. It must be great for your community and your audience, right? Watching you kind of do these crazy, like literally going from one end of the island to the other to get it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's a different aspect that, you know, I would just usually just drop in, but like now I have a purpose the minute I land. I know exactly what I have to do to get it, and if we don't get it, it's like, shoot. But we kind of go back to what we normally would do. I got to be careful, or I'll get disconnected by our PR team. But Season 3 has one of my favorite changes. We've recently released the updated perks that we said, very publicly that that's a glimpse behind the curtain of what's coming for Season 3. Clearly, the specialist token has had again, it's just trying to highlight to our community that we are actively looking at perks right now. And yeah, in a month's time, we're going to have some exciting stuff to show.
That's cool.
Again, I really want to tell you about it. Believe me, I wanna talk about it.
I know.
I'm holding myself back.
Do you guys have like I don't want to say you guys announced the specific day with Season 3, but are we looking kind of like at the end of April or kind of like beginning of May? Kind of like, I just kind of want to know like the area of which you guys are kind of shooting for.
Well, we released the playlist for Season 2 Reloaded, and then we'll communicate the exact timing and the exact date for when Season 3 begins as we get closer to the time.
Okay, for sure. Let me see. Someone said the melee lunge. I think you guys kind of nerfed it, kind of, but then you guys, I don't know if you guys did address it or not. I thought I saw some in there, but
we have to be careful, Chris, to tell you the truth, because we have players of all different player motivations and play styles, right? We have melee players, we have sniper players, we have LMG, assault rifle, like everything in between, and we're always trying to find, where's that balance, where's that harmony where someone who enjoys the melee playstyle or maybe has it as a secondary can still feel like the game supports their playstyle.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we want to make sure that melee is not overpowered. And clearly it was. The changes we made for Season 1, where it went from like 2-hit melee to 3-hit melee, were a good step in the right direction. There's more we can do there for sure. But yeah, we're just protective of all of our players, because we need to make sure that Call of Duty has always been a game for everyone. It's always had a massive casual audience that we want to protect, and yeah, again, you'll see it in the patch notes as we get close to the next season, kind of what we're doing in that area.
Cool. Chat, is there anyone who's a melee player in here? Ted, I gotta see who's in the chat who's a melee player. I gotta
Raise your melee hand.
Mods, find them. Nah.
Get them out.
Nice.
Well, yeah, do you have any other questions?
Wait, you say me?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, I'm a Rebirth guy. I play Rebirth a lot. But the one thing I notice on Caldera a lot when I do play that is something different than Verdansk is I'm always running around a lot. Like, is there any new features with, like, I don't know, vehicle tuning to make it, or more vehicle spawns? Like, when I played Verdansk, I usually never found myself not nearly running as much as I do in Caldera.
Right. Oh, you're killing me here.
Yeah, I think
I wish
I mean, mobility, like you're already seeing some of the stuff we've been tackling on quality of life for like traversal and just trying to.
I know the balloons are a good step in the right direction.
Yeah. So we're aiming for even more and more of that. More and more ways to quickly traverse that. It's not always just relying on vehicles. That we think those are important, but want to make sure that there's on foot ways to be clever as well. So
grapple hooks.
we totally hear you on, like, we want to get the traversal game up and actually have it be feature supported, not just tuning. So we'll have more on that for sure.
Yeah, and when you break down Call of Duty at a high level, the core tenets really are player progression, which you've already talked about, weapons obviously, and then movement. And whenever we approach a season, we're always looking at these tenets of the game and these pillars and making sure that, like, okay, in a recent season, what can we do for the stims to give players that extra movement buff? And now, I watch your streams and you guys are using the stim in like really fascinating ways to create, really like 100 IQ or 1000 IQ, I guess, plays where that we as developers, we hope that kind of thing would happen. And then we see it in reality and it's like, oh, awesome, that movement improvement. Or again, the map team, where they've been working very closely with our animators to improve traversal and mounting heights. It's a huge increase in the mantling that you can now go to. But again, we wanted to make sure that in that particular update, there was something for movement. And that will just be a continued thread that you'll see throughout the seasons ahead, that there's always going to be something that improves player core movement.
Oh, is that you wanted? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
For sure. I think also that's really, you guys did a great job on Verdansk, and I think as far as the seasons go down the line is the storyline, man. I love a good story as far as like with a lot of the operators and stuff like that. I think continuing even with in-game, I think just having a great storyline and having like clear cut. I always thought it was cool, you know. And each season we kind of the story just keeps building upon. So I think hopefully in the future you guys just keep doing emphasis on that as well, because I like shit like that.
Yeah, we like it as well. I think the thing that we've been trying to figure out, because we have, you know, when we've historically done like a really, like we're leaning into telling a literal, you know, multi-plot point story through the seasons. I think that's awesome for players that are there and along for the whole journey. The challenge we've seen is when players come in, let's say part way, or they've lapsed and come back, they're like, what is going on? I have no clue. What does this even mean? Who's that?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what we've been trying to thread the needle on is, one, making sure that, like, hey, when we launch a season, there's a clear gameplay fantasy narrative of like, why do I want to play this season, right? Like that's why you're seeing some of the nomenclature around like armored war machines on season 2, is trying to at least kind of like get to that sort of, okay, if I have never played,
Chad, I already asked about FOV. Stop asking me about it.
I get excited about why I want to play now, but also then having opt-in ways to find, you know, the ongoing narrative and the you know, what's happening with the world or with the characters, as opposed to making that purely the front-loaded exposition. So not trying to discount it, just trying to make sure that we figure out a balance so that we don't alienate a portion of the audience.
Okay, I'll feel you. Let me see if anyone.
Look, we can always do these again, right? We can make this a thing whenever we get near a season. We can have a chat. It'd be great to chat to you closer to season 3, because then we can actually start to talk about things a bit more openly.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm definitely loving this shit. I don't know if Chad, you guys. I mean, I would love to have it. You know what I mean? Just more so, just.
This is better than playing.
Let's get the dev tournament going, right? I want to see.
I mean, honestly, this is so important to us. Like, we need and want to hear everything everyone's thinking and feeling, and also want to make sure you all hear at least some of our thinking. You know, and tell us if you like it or not. We can take it on the chin, but this is critical for us, man. It's like we're maintaining and building an experience for all of you to play, right? And that's what we're passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely how I feel, because there's a lot of things I've always wanted to just ask, but like there's just never been that opportunity, because I mean, we've been talking for what, 50 minutes, and we've asked so many questions that I've had on my head since I ever even started playing Warzone. You know what I mean? So I think it's great. I appreciate you guys coming on. I don't know how much time you guys have. I don't know if Chad has any last minute. You got a question? Okay, yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So some of the people from the recent update was the Satchel Change, and I know some people didn't like it, but is there going to be an easier way to maybe like when you walk over the satchel, the plates automatically come to you? Because I think a lot of people are used to like the plates just already being out. So doing that a little extra, like pressing square to pick it up, is a little bit extra. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. Like we were talking about all this stuff, right? Like that was I was actually really happy with that quality of life change. I've seen a lot of content creators talking about how much they love it as well. And again, like, it's not to say that when we do a quality of life change, there's not further quality of life improvements that we can make to it, right? So
quality of life.
yeah, cool. Yeah.
The inception.
But yeah, the long-term goal, right, is just we want to make this game as polished as possible, and we'll get there with the each iteration. So again, like, I can't make any promises, but we're having those kind of discussions.
We get the feedback though. Totally get it for sure.
For sure. That answer your question, bro?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, guys, I mean, that's all I really have, Josh and Ted. I don't know if you guys.
Awesome.
Chad, do you guys have any like? It has to be like last question, because I actually want to play it too.
Last call.
Yeah. Ring the bell.
I don't know if there's any questions in the chat that you particularly want to answer, but they're just asking away right now.
No, just appreciate the positivity, appreciate the feedback of all kinds, and by the end of the year, we want. Yeah.
Just thinking, it would have been funny if my name was Bill. It just dawned on me. Sorry, Ted. Apologies.
That's all right. No, just by the end of the year, we want you guys to look back and say, yeah, year 3 of Warzone was its best year, and we're going to do everything we can to make that happen.
That is what we're absolutely passionate about doing. We love the game, and we love hearing from everyone on it, for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, also, one last thing. This is particularly pertaining to not really so much but creator operators. What do I got to do? Who do I got to convince to get, like, own
Love
operator
it.
bundle in the store or something.
Yeah, would you like that? You sure?
Oh,
You
for
man,
sure.
like,
Oh, that'd be
Tell you what,
crazy.
if Josh and I get one, you can have one. How about that?
There we go.
can
Boom.
make
Yeah.
The only person playing as me will be me. Yeah.
yeah, we like the idea for sure. I mean, especially creators like yourself and others in the game all the time. I love the idea of everyone being able to rep themselves for sure.
Yeah.
Just
At the
to
end of
the
the day,
reality
people like me.
man, holy smokes! See, that's another thing. That takes a long time, by the way. Making an
yeah.
operator takes months and months.
I
to
can't
create.
even imagine. I can't even imagine. I just want to ask. It's just something on my mind. I just had to throw out there.
No,
Well, look, we got the other FaZe Clan member Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, coming.
in, right? So there's one
Yeah,
FaZe
so it's
Clan
possible.
member. Maybe
We-
there's
we
room
can
for
just-
two. Yeah.
Exactly. I'll have to have a call. I'll have to have a call for sure. All right, Ted and
Yeah,
Josh, I
brilliant.
appreciate you guys coming on. This means a lot to me, and I'm sure
Thanks,
the community as well, guys. This is. Hopefully, we can have this definitely more frequently as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Love
I'd
it.
love to.
Awesome, guys. Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys coming on. Chat, give him a
Good
W.
chat.
Give him a W,
Cheers,
spam
Chris.
chat.
Appreciate you.
Cheers, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Damn, that was a W for sure. Chat, I don't know how you guys felt about that, but that was, I mean, chat, I also asked about like a lot of like the ranked and stuff like that in the beginning of the convo, so a lot of you guys really missed it. But I asked the majority of all the questions, all the big ones that I wanted to ask, and a lot of the big ones that you guys had asked. So that was dope, though.